You're watching the CG Live podcast. Now, the content for these podcasts are a little bit different than our normal pods as we bring on members and do long-form interviews. These were actually recorded live at our events with members that were going on stage to present, so the content is killer. Enjoy the show. Welcome back into the Collective Genius Live podcast. We are here at our CG Select and Elevate event, as we've said in the previous live podcast in Sarasota, Florida, and I've got another great member, part of our leadership team, member extraordinaire, Mr. Benmont Locker. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Always a pleasure to spend time with you.
Yes, I haven't seen you much lately because you've become this mogul on social media. Every time I open up my feed, there's Benmont's big head right there on socials.
That's hanging around there at Brewer too. Well, importance and impact of social media has been beaten into me for the last 5 years inside this
It's working.
community.
It's working. Well, do me this favor. Will you tell everyone? I know you very well. Obviously, you can tell from the beginning here, I said big head right out of the gate. So if you could tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Yeah, Benmont, as you mentioned, originally from Pennsylvania, worked with Eric Brewer and his team at Integrity First Homebuyers for, 3 or 4 years as the chief operations officer. Did good enough job to replace myself there, and ventured a little bit more into the education space from there. So focusing on sales training communities and just sharing that knowledge of growing and building that business. Still active in the deal flow side. I have that bias of not being a guru in the space. So I feel compelled to keep doing the deals while sharing knowledge about those deals. Then you guys have blessed us with the opportunity to spend time with the amazing crew inside of Elevate, the tier it's now 2 years old in CG.
Oh, you've earned it. I mean, when we thought of the Elevate group, you and Joe were immediately a part of that conversation. And here's why. I don't think I've ever given you this comparison before, but you know sports well enough. Like, you are or have become like a Billy Bean of real estate investing. That name ring a bell for you?
It doesn't, and even if it did for me, how about the rest of the people out there? Close that loop.
Well, first I got to open the loop.
All right.
Now I'm going to close the loop. So those that are familiar with the book Moneyball, Billy Bean was the general manager that the book Moneyball was written about. Billy Bean was one of the first that brought analytics to Major League Baseball. And you have always been a data nerd. And I mean that in due respect.
Cool now.
Oh,
You know what I mean? That's cool.
Exactly. Nerds are billionaires. So absolutely, it's cool. You have always been very data driven. And one of the reasons that we thought of you and Joe, because you put your data with sales training that Joe has already brought as a chief sales officer, it was just a natural fit for that particular group. Have you, when you first started with Integrity First, was that kind of where you were given this role of, hey, make us better at understanding our numbers?
Yeah, yes and no. I think it was an evolution. It definitely wasn't for sales. That's not my vibe. I'm not going to get that from me. And I think my confidence and ability to use my skill set or unique superpowers comes from understanding something thoroughly. So like the data background gives me the ability to lead people, because if I don't have it, I don't have that innate intuition that just says, hey, run fast in this direction. So it's always been grounded in my confidence, actually, to be able to work alongside people, distinctively say, hey, here's the plan, for me to articulate why. And I think in a visionary naturally can do that. They're like 99% right, seat of the pants meter. I'm much more like, let me dig through this Excel sheet and then articulate that to how I think we could do better. And I think it takes both. But I think over time, sustainability, consistency comes from like systematizing that intuition and that wisdom into a process that is generally backed by data.
Process, data, these are all things that are not necessarily, especially as you're starting out in real estate investing, they're not sexy. But talk to the importance of, if you're truly trying to scale, why those things are so important.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't go away. And what are you scaling? I think it's a little bit of a buzzword. So
it is.
What does scale mean to you? We just had an amazing presentation in Elevate where somebody went from scale, was their word of the year last year, to consistency this year after some struggles. And he will scale his bottom line by being consistent. I'll stop focusing on bigger, better, and more. So
that's right.
More isn't always more. And a lot of the times, I'm a Tampanian now.
Yes,
And our term for inconsistent revenue, since we have dolphins, is porpoising, right? Where it's out of the water and we're making money, we're not making money, we're making money, we're not making money. So that's not like a good feeling for whatever company or like industry you're in. And systems and processes, as boring as it is, and data gives you the ability to like smooth that out. And then, right, what comes from that is a better culture, like winning, you're actually winning. It's not pizza parties and fun committees and trying to buy your team so their head doesn't fall off, right? Like it's actually winning. And over time, I think that's the sustainable way to win. And then if scale means more, you know what to do more of, right? Or if scale just means more profitability, we know what to get rid of. So it just tells a little bit more objective of the story.
I appreciate the buzzword. I've said this many a time at these meetings. I think I've said it a few times on the pod. The word scale is so overrated. And the first question I always ask is, what does it mean? It's like systems and process. What does that mean to you?
Yeah.
Because it's part of, all three of those go together. But if you don't know what you're trying to scale to, I mean, this whole community is levels and tiers for a reason. It's meeting you where you're at this given time and trying to understand where you want to be long term. If you're joining us right now and you're wondering why we're talking about scale and systems and processes with Benmont, it's because this is our live CG podcast from CG Select and CG Elevate meetings here in Sarasota. This meeting right now that's going on, we have Elevate on floor 5 here, and we have our Select group upstairs. Benmont, who earlier gave you his resume of working with Integrity Homebuyers, now Ramp Academy, and also is on our leadership team for the Elevate group. That group has been around for 2 years. We picked you and Joe Mont.
I knew that was coming. So
when
you said, hey, we picked you guys, and I thought it was just for the nickname that we've accumulated. We're the modern day, right? Brad and Jennifer, or Brad and Angeline, the previous. We've become one now.
That's the first time I've ever said it.
Yeah. Oh, no, that was what Brian, that's how he refers to us. He says that's the thing. Yeah.
Did not know that. I never heard it before. I Joe met it.
Yeah.
So Joe Mont, these two run our Elevate room. When we developed the curriculum, we said we need people that are great at operations. We need people that are great at sales to help someone go from that. They're a full-time real estate investor, but if they just doubled their deal flow, if they just doubled their income, it would make a world of difference to start that scale or whatever that looks like for them long-term, to start it off. You've now been doing it for 2 years. Give us a little bit of, a summary of what that Elevate room is, what you guys do for 2 days.
Yeah, Elevate is unique. It's a mix of very hands-on, almost coaching, mentorship style, the do's, the don'ts, and like I'm going to smack you a little bit along the way because you haven't earned the right to like just go out there on your own yet. All while I pitched to Brian and the team routinely that we should send Premier and CEO members all the way back down there because it's the foundational principles of what you need, regardless of, again, coming back to scale, of whatever that is to you. And it's like, it never goes away. Right. The core metrics that we beat into, this group of individuals will set them up for much better growth in the near future. Like we're talking knowing the data and why, and not a bajillion things, right? We always focus on 6 core metrics: gross leads, qualified leads, appointments set, held, contracts, and revenue. And we focus on those and the importance of those. And then when they say, well, what about this? Or what about AI and all these shiny things? It's like, those, my friends, are what are called nice to haves. The need to haves are the previously aforementioned 6 things that you have. And then over time, when you're good at those, you can go work on the other things. So this group is always about the foundation, refining what they're doing. And it's funny because they'll get ahead and then like real life happens and things get hard and they get knocked back down a step.
Sure.
And then it's the same information positioned differently the next quarter, right, from somebody else with a different flair. And it's like, oh, that resonates so well with me. And what we found over the past 2 years is those foundational principles are what help people sustain over time, right? Our mission and goal in Elevate is to double your deal flow, right? If you're at home and you're doing 2 deals a year and 4 is transformational. That's a big difference. If you're doing 6 and 12 get you out of your W-2 and a full-time investor, that's a big difference.
Absolutely.
And we've been able to pace people through these events 3 times a year, help them intensively for, right, these 20 some hours we spend together, and then supplement 2 calls every single week to help those people grow and grow through that journey of doubling their deal flow. The one downfall is it's sad we didn't realize that the better we do, the quicker we lose people to the next level. But it's amazing to see that journey. I think we've had 9 people in the first year graduate out of that community who went on one of those journeys of doubling their deal flow or going full time in real estate, and it's transforming their lives, which is awesome.
Foundation is so crucial. As you were saying, that the shiny object syndrome is real. I mean, it's real for everyone. I don't care if you're at the CEO level, which are $10 million businesses and above in the collective genius. Everyone has a little bit of shiny object syndrome, and every couple of years it seems to change a little bit. As you were saying, AI, I've been hearing AI as a buzzword for probably a year and a half, 2 years now. Prior to that, what was it? Do you remember what the big shiny object syndrome is that everyone wanted to present on instead of real estate, which is their core business? Do you remember what it was?
I mean, how many are there?
Oh, well, there's one main one.
I don't know.
That was
I might have tuned it out. I
You
don't live in
probably-
2-year trend. Not so trendy. One trend at a time here, Leon.
my memory stinks at a lot of things, but these are the useless things that I keep upstairs.
And we'll see how much it impacted me too.
What it was Bitcoin and
Crypto.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
let me tell you the quick crypto story that impacted a member of ours 2 years ago.
Love to hear
His
this.
journey yesterday to the Elevate community. So he's a level above. So he's went through that journey. 5 years in the game, is making great money now. Made some crypto decisions and got caught holding $200,000 that they invested into a crypto scam. It turned out to be, and lost 200 grand. It took them like 16 months to dig out of the hole of what the $200,000 was doing for their operation, because they went, I'm doing good at real estate. I'm wholesaling deals. I'm going to try some fix and flip stuff. Look at it over here. It's crypto. So stay in your lane, my friends at home. It's really hard to be an expert at more than one thing at a time.
It's interesting that you say that, because you heard that and you shared that story. And then on the main stage yesterday, as part of our journey presentation, Tommy Hart talked about it as he was growing his business in Columbus, and sat right here yesterday on the pod, and just said that, hey, we made so much money that we just got shiny object syndrome, and we say, oh, let's diversify out of that, and went away from doing what they know, the foundation of growing their business and continuing to focus on that. Not saying you can't diversify within real estate, and maybe
Or over time.
over time, right? But my goodness, that was the big one. And so keeping people, especially at that level, focus is a game changer. It will change the trajectory of their lives, and maybe even their kids' lives and their kids' lives forever, staying consistent with them. You do the same now with Ramp Academy. And I'm so happy for you guys, because this is something that I've told Eric before. I've shared this with him, that you guys have needed to do this, and in time, and you have your own focus, obviously. But tell me a little bit more, and tell the people a little bit more about Ramp Academy.
Yeah. So Ramp, as you mentioned, in due time, right? We kind of didn't wait, but we were patient in developing a product. And what we went through was about every training program that existed in and out of the industry. Right. Some were the social media gurus that are fear mongering you to join their sales training communities in the space. Right. It turned out that ex-cons and our sales team doing empathetic sales just wasn't a good synergy, but we experienced a bunch of things, and we learned the impact of like how little things make a big difference. And right, it comes back to like just staying focused. We learned that growing top line revenue was more about increasing conversions 1% to 2% through each handoff in each bucket. So that cumulative 6% improvement increased the bottom line 20%. And it was huge. And that's way easier, because you can't always buy your way to more revenue, and you definitely can't save your way to profitability. So the optimization in between was essential. And it was like, when my very objective nature, Eric, right, his intuition and sales experience, and Joe, we either were going to get in a 3-way ring fight to the death, or we said, hey, like, what are we all trying to do and justify here? And one was like making these database decisions that over time we could like recreate that more and more and more from a sales experience, while it impacted, like, it's people, right? So they're not data, they're not robots. So we had to systematize sales, and we created Ramp as a skills and conversion community where we work on that. It's like, what is the impact of marketing for salespeople? Because we have to find respect for that. Quick examples, right? You deploy fake checks. All of a sudden now the greeting to your phone call is drive off a cliff. My house is worth double's estimate because I laid linoleum over the floor. And whether that's right
That's
or
a real
wrong,
story.
yeah, it creates a horrible experience, and then it shows up as an unqualified lead. And now is it marketing's fault, sales' fault? So the impact of marketing and sales working cohesively together is where we found the biggest growth opportunity. And our community is training on all of those things, whether you're a lead manager, a VA, domestic, high-level sales, solopreneur, dispositions. Getting better at understanding how the upstream impacts of marketing and messaging, how to convert more leads, how to close more deals was the space that exponentially grew, right, our core business, and then allowed us to go off into scale and create another 9 counties and do another 100 deals a year. It was like the launch pad for what growth looked like. And then it was just selfish at that point for us not to share and do it. We were already doing it. We built the program for our community. And then we said, cool, who else struggles with things like this?
Right.
Or are we just the weirdos that couldn't figure it out on our own? Turns out our year anniversary of that program was this week.
Wow.
And there, I looked yesterday.
Anniversary.
I should look today, but I'll sell ourselves short. It might have grown, but there was 399 active people inside of there.
Very cool.
As of yesterday when I looked. So if us sharing that journey and our experiences and how we've seen sales and marketing work together to impact the success of real estate with all of those 400 people, that's a good win for us.
Congratulations. You guys deserve it. It's it includes so much more than just sales training. There's perspective of advertising and how that marketing works with sales. Just that example you gave before with the check letters that are very popular, obviously, but there's a different way that the lead manager answers that call versus another type of marketing. I love how holistic it is in the process. You are, speaking of holistic, you are very much our utility player as a member, but also on our leadership team. Like just in the next 2.5 days, you will lead the Elevate Room with Joe Cipollini. You presented yesterday on a track, and you'll be on a panel here very, very shortly about the market. I want to hit those two before I get you out of here.
Sure.
Yesterday's presentation, what was it about, and what were you trying to get across?
Yeah, we presented in the marketing room, and again, it's not, sales is sexy. Marketing's not, unfortunately, right? Like, I can't wait for that day where everyone's like, oh my gosh, let's talk KPIs. The best chance I have is showing a fancy dashboard. But yesterday, we discussed how to find a balance of inbound versus outbound, high intent versus low intent marketing, attracting or attacking prospects and sellers. And my point yesterday was, one, to inform the community on the difference between them, because sometimes we get confused. Two was finding balance, all about building the business you want, right? Do you want to be responsible to be answering cold call live transfers? Do you want PPL leads to come in at midnight? Do you want to be answering nightly news, TV ads when you're sitting down eating dinner? And there's pros and cons to all of them. So it was more of like you can make money doing anything. Like, at what point did you break free of your W-2? Did you make this commitment to get into real estate and become a byproduct of like accepting what's out there?
Sure.
So it was more about the intentionality of building the business, and the business starts with marketing because every interaction is a byproduct of that. So building the business from a marketing perspective on what you want it to look like. And then I actually reached out to you and I said, hey man, so I don't miss the mark here. I'll tell them what inbound is, what outbound is. I'll tell them why it's important to have both. I said, what does impactful look like? And I don't know if you recall your email. It was very short. You're like, hey man, I kind of trust in the process. I said, but you said, I think what would be helpful for them is like the tactical, what should mine look like? And what is a winning team doing now? And that's what we focused on a little bit, was sharing that split. And very cliche, like the Pareto principle of 80-20 is about what winning looks like right now. 80% inbound, high intent marketing. But at that point, you own data. You probably have staff and people, and there's no reason maybe not to be following up with people, not to be prospecting and building relationships outbound. And our goal was to get to a 3-legged stool, picking 3 stable marketing channels so you don't get wiped out if one broke. And that was referrals. Everybody should be doing it. It's low cost, high profit, picking 1 to 2 inbound marketing channels and then captivating on a little bit of like outbound follow-up and just letting everybody create their own journey from there, but giving them a proven framework of what a winning team is seeing work in today's market conditions.
So much good in that, the 3-legged stool. We can go so much deeper into that. I won't keep you here because I know you have to go upstairs, but I do want to make sure that I follow up on what my response was. My response was, show what winning teams are doing right now, what's working for you guys as a winning team. If I could really boil down what CG is and a community like ours, most people want to come in and just learn from what's working for others. Like, and you can just tell by the questions, right? What type of direct mail is working for you right now? These are
KPIs.
right. What's your KPIs? These are all, there's better questions to be asked, but people just want to know, I know that person is doing really, really well. Can I just see what they're doing? It doesn't mean it'll be perfect for my business, but I want perspective of the marketplace. When you put 300 people like we have here today in the room together, there's going to be a lot of different perspectives, but you're also going to understand that, okay, this is working for that person in California. This is working for this person in Florida. But you can have those conversations and then decipher what works best for you and your model and what scale means to you. And I think that's what I was looking for, because if I get any feedback right now, it's, Leon, you know what's working for someone with this or whatever that it is that they're struggling with. Yeah. To get people, all the presentations, I want them just to be, what's working for you right now? I don't care if everything else is terrible, but this one thing is working really, really well for you. Yeah. Especially as, a lot of people are unknown in the marketplace, which will take me to my last question here. You're on a panel. You obviously work with a lot of real estate investors, not only in Elevate here, but you also work with Ramp Academy, Integrity First in PA and multiple markets. When someone asked you on that panel, where you think the market is going, what are you anticipating for? What are you preparing for? What would be your answer?
That's a really good question.
You probably should know this answer because you're about to go answer it.
For us, right, in Pennsylvania, we had a large legislation shift at the top of the year. So we kicked off the new year with the inability to essentially market and wholesale properties. Novations became not the traditional way of doing novations. So that shifted a lot of things for us. And I think in general, I mentioned live in Florida. So you see like all of the hurricane properties, and then you see legislation, and then you see everybody in between. And I think what works right now, and what the market's doing is good inventory sells. And every deal that you try to force into being a deal is the one you regret doing. And I don't know if that's a market thing. I don't know if that answers that question, but I would tell everybody at home, the deal that you want to make work, that is sitting on your laptop or on your desk and you're convincing yourself to make work, is the one you're going to regret doing. The ones that are coming through, that are secure, profitable, that don't have a ton of headache with them, are the ones that you should be focused on. And I think that's easy to say, but it might not get you to where you want. But if scale meant more and more meant you're losing money on deals, you're scaling the wrong way anyway. So draw out your buzzword, stick to the basics of good inventory always sells.
We'll keep you from going upstairs. We'll just send this recording upstairs. That's your answer. I mean, that's a great answer for a lot of the people in that room to hear. If someone is watching this and they've been listening to the podcast and they're on the fence and they're going, man, I know I need to join the community. I don't know when, but especially if they're at the Elevate level, between 10 and 30 deals, and they're looking to double that and quickly promote into the next level here at the Collective Genius, what would you say to them?
Yeah, that's an easier one. That's anybody that just wants to get better as a human being, wants to get better as a business owner, wants to learn more in depth and enhance their skills about the industry, and wants that community and resource of 50 other people. The best thing you can learn is all 50 things. If you ask every single person here what not to do, what one thing not to do, you'd make 50 less mistakes than you're currently probably going to make today.
That's well said. If I know how people can reach you, they just need to follow you on social media. So because you are following Eric's path for sure. What's the best way to follow you on? Is it Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram or Facebook. I'm one of few Benmonts out there.
That's true.
Type in Benmont, Benmont. It's not going to lead you to a bunch. Only other one was maybe from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and that wasn't his real name, it turned out. I learned. So yeah, I'm about the only one with the name. Easy on Facebook, Instagram. Shoot a DM. Ask any questions that are holding you back that you want more information on, or at ramprei.com. They can see what our community is all about and what we've got going on.
Awesome. You're a true go-giver, my friend. Thank you. I just heard that presentation wrapping up in your room, so I know you've got to go. Thank you. Appreciate you joining us, and appreciate you joining us for the live CG podcast. We've got a few more here for you before we cut out here today. Again, if you're on the fence, Elevate, Select, Premier, CEO, you're looking at this community, check us out at thecollectivegenius.com. If you like what you see, fill out an application. We'd love to talk to you, see if this is a good fit for you and for us. I'll be back probably in the next 20, 30 minutes with another great member here at the Collective Genius for our live CG podcast. See you then.
Are you ready to scale your real estate business? Visit thecollectivegenius.com, where real estate investors come to scale. Subscribe to the Collective Genius podcast and hit the bell icon to be notified when our next episode releases. And thanks for listening.